Yeah, so this is just a short video to show you what Dustin and I are up to on the OpenEvo side of things. So just as a background, we have also our own theory of improvement. We're focusing on schools, so it's kind of school improvement, and so we're sort of approaching it from the idea that we want to focus both on helping students and teachers reflect on their understanding of human evolution and behavior, and to develop interventions to help engage students in school improvement and sustainable development. And the idea is that both of those can help foster sort of conceptual understanding and adaptive flexibility, and ultimately contribute to these general outcomes on the individual and community levels. And so in this way, we have also even thinking on a broader educational systems way. The background is also teacher pedagogical knowledge and curriculum, which is also what we're working on. And so to address these two things here, we have this idea, we have our twin lab model basically, so educational design lab, which is largely about developing through design-based research educational materials and curricula that actually help in implementing this, and also our community science lab model, which is more about finding ways to help students become engaged and leaders in school improvement. So to do this, we're in the process of developing this infrastructure here at the MPI, which is composed mostly of the Moodle OpenEvo Learning Hub and the OpenEvo WordPress site. On the Learning Hub, so this is supposed to be a place not necessarily for just ready-made modules, but also more a co-design space for teaching and learning about things like community science, so how to do community science, what are some methods, and how to just implement it and report it, educational design research, and then also more thematic areas around human evolution, behavior, and pro-social, and so on and so on. And also just a space for field site modules, which are modules for local adaptations of certain module designs adapted to certain institutional contexts and so on. So on this Moodle, we're planning to do most of our educational design research because we get a lot of data there, like activity logs and all the discussion posts, questionnaires, assignments, and so on. And the good thing is also that this data is really sitting in our own server. And the WordPress site, that is a space where we can make openly accessible a whole bunch of materials, and we're trying to structure this in several databases of methods, studies, teaching materials, literature, field sites, and so on. And so these two core infrastructure places, they are also meant to sort of be connected in some way to each other, fulfilling different roles. So we see this openly accessible database that can be used within the Moodle to then draw from, to learn and inform one's own teaching, for example, designing certain modules, and also for informing educational or community science research, for example, by looking up certain methods or what have other people done at different field sites, or different studies that have been done using certain methods, literature, and so on. And through engaging, learning, and adapting on the Moodle, people would then also be able to review and contribute new database entries. For example, a new field site, a new study that has been done, new teaching materials that have been developed, and so on. And so regarding the database structure, it currently roughly looks like this, that we have several kind of bases as a way to put in and structure all this information. And this is really just more conceptual right now, but we're starting now really to get it going on the WordPress and to populate it with different entries. And all of these different bases are also interlinked through taxonomies across these. And maybe most relevant for prosocial is, for example, things like research methods. So, for example, a study that has been done can be tagged with certain methods that have been applied, and also design principles. This comes from our really approach of educational design research and comports well with prosocial because of the focus on design principles. So currently these include the CDPs and processes of psychological flexibility, but also other educational design principles. And these can also then be used to tag, like to link specific, studies or so, something specific that has been done to the higher level theory. Then also there's specific goals that one can tag, and stakeholders that have been involved or studied, and also by geographic location. So yeah, Dustin will now showcase what we have currently on the website.
Okay, thank you, Susie. So here we see the basic OpenEvo WordPress website, which has an introduction to the project and links to our labs. This is currently what's public, but let me show you behind the scenes into the Prosocial Schools entry in the project base. So you can see the website here is Prosocial Schools within the project base on OpenEvo. And this is just a mock-up. The concept is that this is the launch pad. So we have prosocialschools.org as a separate website. This is the more interactive launch pad that students can find once they go through the self-study module. So let me just show you some of the elements that we're working to build in here. And again, this is just a mock-up for what we are hoping to launch within the next weeks. And so, of course, step one, if students haven't enrolled already, we want them to enroll. And so this links from our project base into the syllabase, the database of our core syllabi. And so here you see the sort of some introductory text for the Prosocial Youth Self-Study and a capacity for enrolling here, which brings you into the Moodle. And I'm, of course, already logged in, but if you are a new student, you would be prompted for the to enroll yourself in this module. And so that's how students can, in one way, find the module. And, of course, we can be marketing this in various ways. After students go through the module, as they go through it, they're going to be learning about all these different projects. And so some of these projects they'll want to engage further with. So they will be able to find that within the Moodle. But for quicker reference and for more open access, they can be exploring various aspects within the Prosocial Schools tagged resources on OpenEvo. So this may include projects like YPAR Hub, which is the Youth Participatory Action Research website that holds a lot of our basic methods. Of course, Hilo, which can link directly to the website or also to existing prosocial related Hilo groups. Our own Evolving Schools project, which is a sort of offshoot or specialized niche within Prosocial Schools. Our friends at the Deal Lab. So students can explore different projects, and this is all easily searchable. But of course, we want them to go deeper. We want to be able to focus their attention on shared processes of school improvement. And so within our improvement base, we have structured ideas about how practical progress can be made. And sometimes these are more general or kind of systems level improvements. And sometimes they're more targeted things like use conversation starters. And so here we can be building this improvement base. So some of these are, for example, conversation starters is something that kind of got built up within Prosocial Schools, whereas some of the other items in here currently are perhaps more from our Global ESD work, but might be related to Prosocial Schools, and so they can receive the Prosocial Schools tag and therefore be findable by people within Prosocial Schools. And so in this way, we can be building up the ecosystem across projects. A given improvement aim might be relevant for pro-social, for donut economics, for our evolution education work, and it doesn't need to be in one or the other databases, but can actually reside across these different project homes. And then, of course, we have links to a variety of teaching materials. So these, again, are just examples of how these are resources that have been developed that we can curate and organize on the site, and that can be made searchable and therefore of use to students in the module.
And now finally also just a quick overview about the Moodle Learning Hub. So this is kind of what you see when you're not logged in. Anybody can create an account, but it's currently we're not spreading it very far because we don't really have any modules yet that we want to share openly with anybody. Currently we're sort of thinking about these 3 languages, German, English, and French, to develop everything around. But the module directory, there you can see sort of the structure that we're building up of the different kinds of modules to ease people into the platform, and also building capacity for co-designing and using all the materials and modules in different contexts. And so we also have here, for example, these community science lab modules at different stages, which are meant to be places for people to, or especially students, to learn community science methods and implement actual projects with more increasing expertise. Educational design lab modules, so that's especially going to be relevant for if we want to work with master students to develop their educational research studies, but also PhD students and others. Then we call them conceptual learning modules. That's really more about the content, especially also that's behind pro-social. So there's our module that we're running here at the University of Leipzig, but also in other places. Then we also are working on pro-social youth self-study module currently, trying that out. And then there are field site modules. So these are basically modules that are more adapted to particular institutions or places. So for example, the actual module we're running at Uni Leipzig is in here because it's more concrete for a particular context. So these are just some ideas about the structure of these modules that we're working on.